She didn't know I was already watching everything change before she even said the words. When Olivia Prescott leaned against the marble kitchen counter and calmly said, "Let's take a 1-week break to improve ourselves," something inside me didn't break. It sharpened. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I just looked at her, nodded once, and said, "Okay." That single word surprised her more than anything I could have said, because she expected resistance. She expected confusion. She expected me to fight for us. Instead, I gave her silence, and that silence made her uncomfortable in a way she couldn't explain. We lived in a quiet, polished neighborhood in Greenwich, Connecticut, where everything looked stable from the outside. The kind of place where marriages don't fall apart loudly. They unravel quietly behind perfectly aligned curtains. Olivia had always been composed, controlled, intentional. She wasn't the kind of woman who suggested a break impulsively, which meant she had already been thinking about it long before she said it. And that meant I had already been late to something I didn't fully understand yet. That night, she packed a small suitcase. Not rushed, not emotional, just precise movements, like she was following a plan she had rehearsed. She said she'd be staying with her friend, Margot Thornton, in Westport. I didn't question it. I didn't check it. I didn't even ask when she'd be back. Because the moment you start asking questions like that, you're already admitting you don't have control anymore. And I wasn't ready to admit that. The house felt different the moment she left. Not emptier, just clearer. Like the noise I didn't realize existed had suddenly disappeared. I sat in the living room long after the door closed. Not thinking, just observing. Her coffee mug still on the table. Her jacket still hanging on the chair. Details that shouldn't matter, but suddenly did. That night, I didn't text her, and she didn't text me. Day 1 passed like a quiet agreement neither of us spoke about. But on day 2, something shifted. It started with a message. Not from her. From a number I didn't recognize. There was no greeting, just a screenshot. A reservation confirmation. 2 guests. A boutique hotel in downtown Stamford. The name on the reservation wasn't mine. It was hers. And the second name wasn't a woman. It was Nolan Calloway. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. Not because I was shocked, but because I wasn't. That's what unsettled me the most. Because somewhere deep down, I had already been preparing for this outcome. Before we go further, tell me honestly, if you were in that moment, would you confront her immediately, or would you wait and watch what happens next? I didn't respond to the message. I didn't call her. I didn't even react outwardly. Instead, I did something Olivia had never expected from me. I became patient, because reactions are emotional. But patience is strategic, and strategy reveals truth without forcing it. That evening, I went through our shared calendar. Small things started connecting. Meetings that didn't align. Late dinners that didn't make sense. Conversations that felt slightly off at the time, but now felt deliberate. Nolan Calloway wasn't a stranger. He was someone she had mentioned before. A colleague. Someone she described as helpful. That word stayed with me. Helpful. Because people don't describe someone as helpful unless that person is filling a gap. And I needed to understand what gap that was. Day 3, I finally received a message from her. Short, carefully neutral. Hope you're using this time well. No wodoms. No affection. Just distance disguised as maturity. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Then I wrote exactly what she needed to hear. I am. Nothing more. Nothing less. Because the moment you over-explain, you reveal uncertainty. And I wasn't uncertain anymore. By day 4, I stopped focusing on her completely. Not as a tactic, but as a decision. I started going to the gym early. Reconnected with clients I had been neglecting. Clean parts of my life I had ignored. Not to win her back, but to understand myself without her presence shaping my choices. And something unexpected happened. I started feeling lighter. Not happier, just less dependent on her reactions. And that scared me more than anything. Because if I could feel that way in 4 days, what did that say about the years before? On day 5, I received another message. This time from Olivia. Can we talk soon? There was something different in her tone. Less controlled. Less certain. And that told me everything I needed to know. People only asked to talk when something didn't go the way they expected. I didn't respond immediately. I waited. Because timing matters more than words. Before we continue, What would you do here? Would you meet her right away? Or would you make her wait and feel the uncertainty she created? I replied hours later. Tomorrow works. Simple, measured, unemotional. We met at a quiet cafe near Riverside. Neutral ground. No memories attached. She arrived early. That alone told me she was nervous. Olivia Prescott was never early unless something was wrong. She looked composed, but there were small cracks. Her posture slightly tighter. Her voice slightly softer. I think this break was necessary, she said, carefully, testing the ground. I nodded. It was. She paused, waiting for me to say more. But I didn't, because silence forces truth out of people faster than questions. I've been doing a lot of thinking, she continued. I watch her closely. Not her words. Her timing. Her hesitation. That's where honesty lives. And I realized maybe we've both been distant for a while. There it was. Shared responsibility. The safest place to land. I leaned back slightly. Maybe. She blinked. That wasn't the response she expected. Don't you think we should try to fix this? She asked. And that was the moment everything shifted. Not in her. In me. Because for the first time, I realized something clearly. I wasn't afraid of losing her anymore. I was afraid of ignoring what I already knew. So I looked at her and asked the only question that mattered. Did you go to Stanford with Nolan? Her silence lasted less than 2 seconds. But it was enough. Because truth doesn't need long pauses. It just needs one real one. Yes, she said, quietly. Not defensive. Not emotional. Just honest. And that honesty changed everything. Because now the situation wasn't ambiguous anymore. It was real, grounded, defined. I didn't plan it like this, she added quickly, which told me she had planned something, just not the outcome. I nodded slowly. I believe you. She looked up confused. You do? Yes, I said. I believe you didn't plan how this would end. That sentence hit her harder than anything else I could have said, because it removed the illusion of control she thought she had. We sat in silence after that. Not awkward, just final. I don't know what happens now, she said eventually. And that was the most honest thing she had said all week. Neither did I, but I knew what wasn't happening anymore. We weren't going back to pretending everything was fine. We weren't going back to versions of ourselves that ignored uncomfortable truths. We don't have to decide everything today, I said calmly. But we do have to stop pretending we're the same people we were last week. She nodded, and for the first time, she didn't try to fix the moment. She just accepted it. We left separately. No dramatic ending. No closure speech. Just two people walking in different directions, understanding something had shifted permanently. Not broken. Not destroyed. Just changed. And sometimes, change is the only honest outcome left.